Welcome to Sports Paws. I'm Nick Boyd, and alongside me is Gage Kilborn.
We open tonight's show with a tribute to Barry Sachs, a Quinnipiac professor and member of the Quinnipiac journalism community who sadly passed away this week. Barry Sachs was involved in Quinnipiac Sports Journalism Master's Program, where he taught producing and presenting live sports and producing and presenting studio to graduate students and sports broadcasting to undergrad students. Sachs was a massive part of the Quinnipiac community since he began teaching back in 2015. Prior to Quinnipiac, Sachs worked at ESPN headquarters for 33 years, from 1982 to 2016. While there, he was one of the brave pioneers who helped launch SportsCenter and College Game Day during the College Basketball Game Day show this past Saturday. The hosts were saying that if it was not for Sachs, the show would not be the same. Sachs was famous for his legendary quotes and his tough love to help bring the best out of his students. He will be forever missed, but not forgotten by all of us here at Q30. Coming up on Sports Paws, the women's ice hockey team celebrated their senior day when RPI and Union came into town.
Men's and women's basketball both went to OT against Niagara and Fairfield.
And spring sports is heating up with men's lacrosse taking on UMass Lowell to start the season.
Sports Paws starts
right now.
We start tonight's show with a major change coming to the MAC. For the first time in 35 years, the MAC will have a new commissioner. Rick Enzor is retiring after a long tenure building and growing the conference on Tuesday. The MAC named Travis Teletasi as its new commissioner. He was previously an assistant commissioner with the Ohio Valley Conference for 6 years. Teletasi also has MAC connections in his background. Before the OVC, he was a deputy athletics director at Marist.
The women's ice hockey team welcomed the RPI Engineers this Friday. Let's roll the tape. RPI came to Hamden Friday night as they took on the number 6 Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team. The Bobcats looked to build on an 8-0 win over Dartmouth from a weekend ago. So without further ado, let's jump into the first period. In the closing seconds of the frame, it'll be Olivia Mobley emerging from the corner and sets up Zoe Boyd, who nails the one-timer home. 1-0 Bobcats with the lead. Into second period, it was time for the Amanda Rampado show. The RPI senior made some big stops throughout this game. Bobcats on the odd man rush, and Rampado denies Nina Steigoff. A few minutes later, Jess Shriver shot from down low, and Rampado says no more of this as she smothers the puck. But the Bobcats stop the Rampado rampage on the odd man rush. Mila Badnet, her 16th of the year, in the high slot. 2-0 Bobcats extending their lead. And we enter the final frame. RPI retools themselves as the Engineers wrap around and capitalize on the net mouth scrum to cut the lead in half. 2-1 Quinnipiac still with the lead, but it's all a little too late as Quinnipiac will prevail with a 2-1 victory. This game turned out to be a blinking contest between Amanda Rampado and Logan Angers. Here to give us a deeper dive on the story is women's ice hockey beat reporter Anthony Rossi.
Goaltending is possibly the hardest position in hockey, but goaltenders Logan Angers and Amanda Rampado made it look easy as the Bobcats defeated the RPI Engineers in a tight 2-1 contest.
It was a playoff hockey game today is what it felt like. And, it was nice to play a team that played so hard from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. RPI was relentless in how they pressured us and continued to create chances, and their goalie played outstanding. So it was nice to see our team play pretty consistently beginning to end of the game with real urgency to work to score, and we needed that to be able to get 2 on her. She played awesome, so I'm happy with this win.
And play well she did as Amanda Rampado stopped 40 of the 42 shots that the strong Quinnipiac offensive sent her way. Graduate goaltender Logan Angers, who got the start tonight for the Bobcats, was up for the challenge that Rampado posed her.
Yeah, I think that we've kind of seen it a lot this year. We put on a lot of pressure on a lot of teams, so I think it's something I definitely get more used to, and just being ready, like whether the puck's coming on net, if it's just in the zone, like kind of being ready for anything, communicating, and just staying really in the game like that.
As Logan Andres' college career will end at the end of this season, she looks to pass the torch to a new netminder in the blue paint. Katie Boudiette is one of those candidates and has proved it all year long that she is worthy. But a first-year goaltender out of Illinois might shock some few. Tatum Blacker, one that Cass Turner praises very strongly.
Tatum is an unreal teammate, unreal person, and since her moment that she got here at Quinnipiac, she's just been working hard to get better. She is always in the weight room doing extra. She's always on the ice doing extra, and I know her teammates watch and appreciate that, so we're excited for Tatum.
Logan Andres and the Bobcats have senior day up next as they take on the Union Dutch women Saturday at 3 p.m. Reporting for Q30 Sports, I'm Anthony Rossi.
Women's hockey was at it again the next day for their home finale against Union. Let's check out the action. It was senior day for the Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team as they took on the Union Dutch women in a matinee matchup on Saturday. Let's jump into the first, where the Bobcats were on the attack early. It's Jess Shriver on the right wing. She takes a shot. It ricochets right back to Nina Steigoff, who buries it. 1-0 Bobcats early in the first. Now it's Union's turn. First year Riley Walsh driving down the rink and dishes a beautiful pass to Celeste Bodwin, and she puts it in to tie it up at 1 goal apiece. No goals in the second, so we go straight to the third period of play. Bobcats in the offensive zone. Alexa Hoskin puts on the moves and beats Sophie Matsukis to break the tie. 2-1 Bobcats in this one. Back on the attack, it's Madison Chandler on the breakaway. 1-on-1 ISO hockey. She roofs it on the top shelf. 3-1 Quinnipiac. The offense firing on all cylinders here. Shea Maloney also scored a goal for the third goal of the period. And here's Kendall Cooper skating down the ice. She finds Sadie Peart in the slot, who snipes it in to past Matsukis to extend the lead to 5-1. And that would be your final from Hamden. The Bobcats 5, Dutch women 1. 9 players were honored in a post-game ceremony at center ice as part of the senior day celebration, and the victory made it all the more sweet. After back-to-back wins against ECAC opponents, let's take a look at the latest UCHO poll returns. Despite winning at home against RPI and Union, the Bobcats lost ground in the national polls and dropped down to 7 this week. Ohio State remains firmly in the top spot, receiving all but 1 of the first place votes. Yale sits at 2, they got the only other first place vote. Rounding out the rest, Colgate jumps to 3, Minnesota slides down to 4, and Northeastern stays put at 5. Wisconsin jumped up to 6, while Minnesota Duluth drops to 8.
The men's ice hockey team seemed to have a rookie on the Tim Taylor Award watch list. Coyotes draft pick Sam Lipkin has just been named on the Tim Taylor National Rookie of the Year watch list. Lipkin currently has 26 points with 7 goals and 16 assists to help assist a top 5 nationally ranked offensive unit. The rookie sensation registered a goal last weekend against Clarkson at Potsdam. Lipkin has also been one of the key contributors for the lethal power play unit with Colin Graff and Ethan DeYoung. Sam Lipkin is not the only Bobcat on skates receiving recognition. Yanni Peretz was just announced as ECAC Goaltender of the Month for January. Peretz finished the month with shutting out Dartmouth and Sacred Heart. He also had a fantastic performance against UConn in the CT Ice Championship, with Peretz also announced ECAC Goaltender of the Week, from shutting out both Clarkson and St. Lawrence this past weekend to clinch a bye to the ECAC quarterfinals. The reigning All-American and ECAC Player of the Year is constantly showing off his dominance in his second season starting for the Bobcats. The men's ice hockey team took the drive up north to Potsdam to take on the Clarkson Golden Knights. Let's see if they keep the win streak alive. The Bobcats will continue showing their dominance as they take care of business in Shield Rink, winning 3-0. The Bobcats spent most of their time in the offensive zone as they dominated with 33 shots on goal compared to Clarkson's 15. In the first period, Golden Knights goaltender Ethan Hayter calmed the Bobcats' attack by stopping all of 14 shots he faced in the second period. Colin Graff broke the scoreless tie with a rebound goal that hits the top shelf in the third period. The floodgates opened as TJ Freeman scored within the first 20 seconds of the period, And Sam Lipkin followed that up with an unassisted goal to complete the season sweep of Clarkson.
The Bobcats look to keep the hot streak alive against the St. Lawrence Saints on Saturday. The Bobcats cruised to victory in this one by a final score of 5-0. Colin Graff netted 2 goals in the contest. First-year Anthony Cipollone scored his first goal of the season, and goalie Yaniv Peretz was locked down in the crease once again. He made 18 saves and secured his 8th shutout of the year. The Bobcats are on fire right now, but were they able to jump back to the top spot in the USCHO poll rankings? You bet they were. Quinnipiac rose back up to the #1 spot in the nation, receiving 26 first-place votes after an unbeaten week of ECAC play. They leapfrogged the Minnesota Golden Gophers, who lost to Wisconsin on Saturday. They now sit in 2nd place. Denver pulls in at 3, the Michigan Wolverines sit at 4, and Boston University falls to 5 after losing in the Beanpot tournament. St. Cloud State, Penn State, and Western Michigan round out the top 8.
We are now going to take our first break of the night.
But don't go anywhere, as we will enter the top of the key for some Lender Court action. Some women's basketball with Brittany Braun-Lieben when Sports Paws returns.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life, but how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have prediabetes, a serious medical condition that puts you at high risk for type 2 diabetes. 1 in 3 American adults has prediabetes, but more than 80% don't know they have it. The good news is, prediabetes can be reversed, and for many people, healthy changes in their daily routine can make a big difference. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Meet the scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Drew, spot on this last one. There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. Let's kick it off with some women's basketball as they took on the Canisius Golden Griffins. Let's roll its highlight. College Experience Day at the bank as the women's basketball team looks to push their win streak to 7 against Canisius with over 2,000 young fans in attendance. We'll jump right into the first quarter as it's DeWeese from the far wing with a dime to cutting Mary Baskerville for the bucket. Quinnipiac up by 4 early, late in the quarter off the inbound. Mackenzie Helms finds Jackie Grisdale on the wing, and she drains the 3. Quinnipiac up by 5 at the end of the first. On to the second we go. Mackenzie Helms calls bank and deposits this ball off the glass for the 3. The Bobcats offense firing on all cylinders. Rose Caverly this time driving. Hits as we go to halftime sets in the third quarter, and they keep on clicking. Grisdale from the top knocks down the triple. Next possession, Grisdale again with a baseline drive off the backboard for the lay-in. The Bobcats go on a 13-0 run to start the third. And here's Helms turning defense directly into offense and getting the swipe and the score. All Bobcats in this one so far entering the fourth up by 31. Jillian Casey getting in on the action here, hitting the 3 to pretty much put the nail in the coffin. Jackie Grisdale led the way with 20 points as the Bobcats cruise to victory 73-36. Following the dominant win, the Bobcats traveled to Fairfield to take on the Stags in a rivalry game. It was the Bobcats who came away with a nail-biting victory, winning 66-60. The two rivals had to play extra time to determine the victor. The Bobcats had 3 players reach double figures in points. Michaela Morris, Grace LaBerge, and Rose Cavalry all reached the double-figure mark. But it was a gritty play at the glass and forcing turnovers that ultimately helped lead Quinnipiac to the massive victory over the Stags. Not only did Quinnipiac out-rebound Fairfield, they also had more offensive boards in Fairfield, 17-10 in favor of Quinnipiac. The Bobcats now look to make it 10 in a row in 14 of their last 16 games as they travel to Maryland to take on Mount St. Mary's. Now that you're all caught up on women's basketball from the weekend, let's take a look at the MAC standings. Quinnipiac currently sits in second place in the conference with a 12-3 MAC record. Although the Bobcats have an 8-game win streak, the Iona Gales, who are in first place, are currently on a 12-game win streak. Rounding out the top 4 is Niagara and Siena respectively, who are only separated by a half a game. Then Fairfield and Niagara take the 5th and 6th place spots in the standings, alongside Marist and Mount St. Mary's to round out the top 8 spots in the conference. Just outside on our piazza set is my co-anchor Nick Boyd, joined by his fellow beat reporter Brittany Braunlieben to discuss the latest in Quinnipiac women's basketball. Nick and Brittany, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Gage. Brittany, we've been covering this team over the past few months. We've really gotten to know them. So I want to ask you, which player has stood out the most during the Bobcats' 8-game winning streak to you?
Nick, I'm going to have to say Michaela Morris has made an impact in these last 8 games. Let's go back to a win against Ryder. She had 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 1 assist. This game is where she found her shot, and this made her known as a powerhouse and offensive and defensive powerhouse. In her last 4 of the 5 games, she has scored 10-plus points in the last 4 games. She's also had at least 6 rebounds. Even when she is not leading the team in points or rebounds, she is finding a way to make her impact known on the court. Morris and her connections on the court have been really improving with team chemistry, especially with Jackie Grisdale, Mary Baskerville, and Mackenzie DeWeese. This allows for better offensive opportunities and defensive skills. In my charity stripe, I spoke about the last time they played Fairfield. Morris led the team with 18 points and 20 rebounds. Bobcats fell to the Stags 59-54, but she again had a killer game this Saturday with 15 points and 6 rebounds, where they won 60-66.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. She's been really impressive over the past few games. You know, as you said, double-digit scoring, give her the ball in the paint. She's basically a guaranteed bucket there. So I kind of want to move on to more of like an X-factor question. Which Bobcat do you think needs to step up more as the Bobcats gear up for this home stretch of the season?
Well, Nick, I don't know if you're going to agree with me, but I have to say Curtier Haywood. She's the Bobcat that needs to step up. Since other players have been stepping up their game and the return of Mackenzie DeWeese, she hasn't been able to stand out like she used to. In the last 5 games, she has not scored in double digits. In Saturday's game against Fairfield, she only scored 4 points and 3 rebounds and no assists. She shot 1 from 6 from the field. Haywood shot 100% from the free throw line, but that does still not mean she has the same impact on the court she did earlier in the season. She used to be averaging around 12 points a game and being the leading scorer consistently each game.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because you're right. During the start of the season, she was really the go-to player on offense, but Grisdale's been stepping up. I like that. If we can kind of get the beginning of the season, CT Haywood, as the Bobcats go into the playoff stretch, that's going to be really dangerous, and they're going to need that to beat teams like Iona. So final question, obviously, Coach Trisha Fabry, she's closing on a huge milestone, 500 career wins. What impact would you say she's left on this program?
Well, Coach Trisha Fabry has not only impacted the women's basketball program, but she's impacted the QU community. Fabry was the first full-time female head coach in Quinnipiac history. She's one of the longest head coaches at Quinnipiac, this being her 28th season. Recently, the program celebrated the 10th anniversary of the first ever conference championship in 2013. Since then, she's added 4 more championships and 5 NCAA tournament appearances. In 2017, she led the girls to the Sweet 16. She's proven herself as a force to reckon with and an inspiration to females in the sports industry. Fabry being so close to her 500th win just adds to how impactful her coaching is, and it proves how much she loves her players. She'll still be continuing her legacy here.
And she's a phenomenal person to interview. Brittany, this has been fun. Gage, back to you.
Now we're staying at Lender Core, but with a different sport. The acrobatics and tumblings team started their season this past weekend as they welcomed Kutztown. The Tumbling Cats took down the Bears by a final score 265.39 to 234.33. The Bobcats were able to start the 2023 campaign on the right foot, with the victory as they dominated in every event they competed in. But the most dominant events that the Bobcats had came in the later stages of the meet when they scored 10 more points than Kutztown in the tumble event, and they outscored the Bears in the team event by 7 points. The Bobcats remain undefeated against Kutztown and have won their last 3 consecutive home openers to add to their 4th-ranked preseason poll. The acrobatic and tumbling team also celebrated Women in Sports Day during their home opener. Brianna Trachtenberg has more.
In addition to hosting the first meet today, the acrobatics and tumbling team also celebrated Women in Sports Day here at M&T Bank Arena.
Young ladies here to watch the sport. This is what they want to do someday. So I always tell my team kids, listen, there's a little girl watching you. She's looking up to you. Just give it your all with a smile on your face. Even if you make a mistake, let them see that happiness that this sport. Listen, they defy gravity. This is a sport that defies gravity. It takes a very, very brave heart. So I think the little girls who are in the audience who know who come to watch it, they're starting really early to get that braveness under their belt. All they want to do is watch people have fun. So that's what we accomplish, I hope.
You know, our coach was actually one of the founders of the sport, and I think one of the big things with acrobatics and tumbling is women supporting women. You know, like, we have so many girls who are cheerleaders, gymnasts from the local area come out and support us, and they aspire to be on this mat. Like, I was a gymnast, and I never thought that this would be possible. Like, I always just wanted to do gymnastics. But being in a new path for me, like, I feel so much better, and, like, mentally, emotionally, physically, like, having these type of people, like, have my back, like, just makes me feel so much better.
I'm Brianna Trachtenberg, and this is Q30 Sports.
Switching locker rooms, men's basketball visited Niagara on Friday, a team they lost to in Hamden back in December. Could they even the score? Bobcats and the Purple Eagles at the Gallagher Center for some MAC action. As I said earlier, Niagara beat Quinnipiac the last time they played each other here in Hamden. So let's get right into the first half. Matt Bellant finds Louis Courtright, top of the key, wide open, and he drills the three. A big-time shot there to start things off, but then Niagara's Lance Irving answers back with a corner tray of his own. The Bobcats kept it pounding. J.J. Riggins channeling his inner Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, hitting the hook shot. Quinnipiac leading 35-25 at the half. We'll go to the second. Niagara's Joe Kasperzik finds Aaron Gray, who goes showtime on Louis Courtright. And then it's Ike Noweke who muscles his way into the paint. He fakes one way, makes the tough bucket, and puts the Bobcats there. But Quinnipiac would drop a lot there. Louis Courtright going past the defender and tying it up. We're headed to overtime. But once again, missed free throws doomed the Bobcats. Noah Thomason putting this game to bed with a deep three. He had 21 points for Niagara as the Purple Eagles complete the season sweep. Louis Courtright led the Bobcats with a season-high 25 points. Quinnipiac stayed up north to take on Canisius Sunday. Let's take a look at the results. The Golden Griffins crushed the Bobcats 85-65, scoring 48 points in the second half. The game was tied 37-all at halftime, but the Bobcats shot just 34% from the field in the second half and fell apart defensively. Canisius' TJ Gadsden erupted for 31 points, and Jordan Henderson tacked on 20 of his own. Quinnipiac's leading scorer was Matt Bellant, who had 14. This now makes 3 straight losses for Baker Dunleavy's squad. They'll try to get back on track at Siena on Friday. After a rough week on the road, let's see where Quinnipiac stands with the rest of the conference. The Bobcats have dropped to 5th in the MAC this week, with a conference record of 8-7. Iona remains in first place, but they have Rider and Siena nipping at their heels not far behind. Each of the top 3 have 11 conference wins on the year. Niagara comes in at 4th. The Purple Eagles have now swept the season series against the Bobcats. Manhattan, Fairfield, and St. Peter's round out the top 8. Mount St. Mary's and Canisius, who Quinnipiac has both lost to, are tied for last. We've got to take our final break of the night, but keep it here. Men's lacrosse, track and field, and of course, top 5 plays are all coming up next. See you in 90 seconds.
maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced House Hunter. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/therightseat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
Welcome back to Sports Paws, everybody. Men's hockey had 2 big rivalry games on the horizon this week, and Q30 Sports will present a Bobcat Game Day broadcast on Saturday. Take a look. And you know what time it is, Gage?
Why, it's Valentine's Day, Nick.
No, that's tomorrow. It's top 5 plays time.
I wore this sweatshirt for nothing?
Yeah, clearly.
I'll just get right into it then. Top 5 plays. Start off with number 5. It is going to be in the women's ice hockey rink against RPI. Olivia Mobley trying to find an open skater and finds Zoe Boyd with a short-hander from the top right corner. More from this game coming up.
Play number 4, a women's basketball clip in the OT win against Fairfield. Michaela Morris. ISO, double team, doesn't matter. She's going to go up and get the bucket to fall anyway, making it look easy.
Now that is nice. They'll go for play number 3. Back to the ice. It is Sadie Peart skating on the ice, passes to Alexa Hoskin, who finds Myla Bad, who shoots and puts it in. Let's take a look at the instant replay. Hoskin with plenty of time, and Labatt puts the dagger home. Quinnipiac wins 2-1.
That was pretty slick, Gage, but we'll keep it on the ice here. Women's ice hockey versus Union. Maya Labad finds an open Alexa Hoskin, who will go ISO against the goalie and beat her herself. Second goal for the Bobcats in that game. That would be all they would need.
Yeah, so now play number 1 seems kind of fitting. Rather, the new number 1 team in the country, the men's ice hockey team. Jacob Quillen takes a shot, gets blocked by Colin Graff, gets the rebound, and scores. Let's take one more time, and if you slow things down, Quillen waits, takes the shot, and Graff at the right place at the right time. Quinnipiac wins 3-0. And with that, this episode of Sports Paws is in the books.
Thank you for tuning in tonight, and thank you to everybody working hard behind the scenes to make this show happen. Visit us at Q30.com and follow us on Twitter at Q30Sports. I'm Nick Boyd. He's Gage Kilborn. Good night, Quinnipiac.